Hey guys, welcome to another episode of As the Leader Grows. I have got a phenomenal guest for you guys today that I am ridiculously excited about. We've been trying to schedule this thing for about 38 years. Every time we get ready to do something happens, so we don't get to have them on. But I've got Kimberly Taco. She is, did I pronounce that right?
It's Toco, but everybody
Toco.
says Taco.
I like
Yeah.
tacos. Is it today? Is today Taco Tuesday?
It
It's
almost.
Wednesday.
Yesterday was Taco Tuesday.
Listen, tell everybody hams on me because if I go eat, I'm going to there's a taco truck right here in Birmingham that is the best tacos ever. When you pull up, it's all the Hispanic guys that are drywall, they're carpet guys, and it is the bet. You're telling me there's a better taco place?
Okay, Arizona.
Yeah,
We're right
I get
there
it.
next to the border.
You would not think Birmingham, but I'm telling you, I've been in LA and San Diego. These tacos are like rival. But anyway,
Okay.
Kimberly Toco.
Yes.
She's a personal coach. She's got an unbelievable story that I can't wait to unpack with you guys. And literally just her story of overcoming. And as a mom, she's going to share a little bit of that story. And just really from just extreme tragedy, being able to overcome into just a really, really sweet spot. We were talking about the joy and just really what life is doing right now and how amazing it is. But anyway, Kimberly, welcome to As the Leader Grows. Take a couple seconds and intro yourself to our audience.
Thank you. And yes, Kimberly Toco. My nickname is Tenacious T, and you're about to find out why.
Come on, girl.
I have a saying that I love. It came from Naomi Judd. You can only be a victim once, and after that, you are a volunteer. 12 years ago, as a stay-at-home mom of 4 sons, getting them ready for breakfast, 14-year-old, 13-year-old, and 3-year-old twins. My second born, 13-year-old Jason, 6'1", could pitch at 80 miles an hour, straight A student, most popular kid in school. But that morning he came downstairs and got into an argument over breakfast, something really simple like, oh, there's starving kids in the world, you eat your breakfast. And long story short about the argument over breakfast, his last words to us as he walked upstairs was, I hate you. And a few minutes later, we heard a noise and I went upstairs and I found my son had shot himself intentionally right in the middle of his forehead. And he died as I was working on him before the ambulance could arrive. In those moments, which you don't realize at the time, you also die in those moments. And it's a club no parent should have to join. And how do you get through that? How do you get over that? And on top of that, suicide. What happened? There was no signs. And the stigma of suicide that occurs afterward. You know, a lot of people would think that they would rally around us as a family. You know, my husband at the time being a firefighter, and many people did, but the majority, they no longer came over what really happened in that house. Where you would expect your community to come forward, they suddenly back off. So not only did I lose my child in a horrific way, but then there was the stigma. There was the pointing at fingers. I hoped he embraced Jesus. You know, there's that path that I went down that was a very, very dark path, and I needed to speak about it. I needed to say, wait a minute, look, there was no signs. I don't know why he didn't go to his coach and say something. I don't know why he didn't go to his teachers. I don't know why he didn't come to us and be like, hey, I'm struggling. At the time, I didn't know why, but I was determined to find out why. And I also figured out I needed to change the trajectory of my life. In order to get someone to pay attention to your story, you have to prove that you can overcome it. I was just the sad, broken mother in the corner asking people to listen to me. And of course, they would listen to the story. But I had to prove that you could overcome in order to share with the world the possibilities of hope, the possibilities of looking at suicide a little differently.
Yeah, walk me through. Let me pause you real quick. Walk me through, like, and I know we're talking, it is a story of you overcoming.
Yes.
But how long did it take you before you were like, there's got to be something positive that comes out of this?
Right.
And in order for it to be positive, I love what you said that Naomi Judd. Like, you choose, you're a victim once. After that, you make the decision. At what point, Kimberly, was it after your son's death where you were like, I got to push through this? I can't. I can't continue to be like this.
It's interesting because even leaving the hospital that day, I got the phone call about organ donation. And that began a trigger. You know, you don't want people to forget your child. And in what way can you memorialize and make a legacy for your child who's no longer here to do it for himself? And that was like the first trigger, right? And then his birthday following his death was on a Mother's Day. And I decided that I was going to form a charity called Jason's Propulsion League to help inner city kids be able to play baseball. There's a natural instinct that occurs that you want to inject, yes, positivity in that horrible tragedy. Because how do you transmute pain? You put purpose in it. Grief is just love with no place to go. You have to put it somewhere or it continues to fester. In honesty, it took 2 years. I was drinking, I was miserable, and I lifted my head up. 2 years, I will remember this to the day, January 2013. I looked up from my glass of wine and my couch and watching TV, and I noticed my twins, now 5, playing and happy. His older brother, just a year older, doing better than me, still struggling, but doing better than me. But it was when I looked at my husband, who was gray, who was pale, who was trying to cover this entire family and pay all the bills. It was when I looked at him and he was looking at me like I was going to break. And I heard this voice that said, "What are you doing? Get up and do something. You are still alive. What are you doing?" But what could I do? I have kids at home. I'm not functioning. I can't get my head to sit on straight for 8 hours at a time. So the only thing I could do was look into getting an extenuating circumstance loan. This is how I got pushed into real estate. We had a short sale. I had to have a bankruptcy after we lost our son. How are we going to get a loan to get out of this shitty rental that we were in, right? And I was able to find a lender after 2 months who said, "Okay, you've been able to prove this, 1,000 emails. You've been able to prove it. You're through the underwriting. You have an extenuating circumstance loan," but I couldn't find an agent to help us. They wouldn't help us because they didn't want to get our hopes up because they'd never seen an extenuating circumstance loan close. So I scraped together the last of our tax return money, a change jar. And March of 2013, I got through real estate school in 18 days. And passed the test, and the first time in a month and a half.
That means you're pretty smart, because I did not do it in 18 days, not even close.
It's not that. I was determined. I needed to change my family's life. I needed to change the trajectory in which we were going. And
hey, talk to me real quick, Kimberly.
Yes.
Let me slow you down just a little bit. Like through this process, because so you look down at your bottle of wine, you see your husband, both of you guys are looking at each other like, man, we're struggling.
Yep.
We're going to do this extenuating circumstances. I'm going to get my real estate license. Like every single day when you got up, what was the driving factor in you that kept you going every single day through the pain and the memory? And I've got 4 daughters. I couldn't even imagine. And I've been in some very, very, I told you off air, pastoring a church, I've done funerals from kids in my ministry and had to go tell the parents that they lost their kid. I've seen something holding your own child. Like, where did that strength come from for you to be able to, I've got to push through?
It's a good question, because I was angry at God. I was angry at God. What's the one thing you ask for? Protect my children, keep them safe. But honestly, I failed. I had an extreme amount of guilt too. So what was the one thing that kept me going? I still had other children. And I had my son's voice in my head that said, "Mom, enough with the pity party. Again, I'm not here to show the world what I was supposed to be. I am not here to be the rock star I was meant to be. You have to do it for me." Who else is going to carry on that legacy but the mother or the father, right? That there comes a point when you say, what's more important? Choosing to check out on life? Because I thought of that too. I definitely wanted to take my life many, many times, waking up with that kind of pain on your chest, closing your eyes and seeing the image of my son dying in my arms with nothing I could do. What pushes you through? The determination to break the cycle, the determination to blaze a trail for him.
So you're
How
2 years,
dare I?
you're 2 years into the process when you said, "Hey, I can't do this anymore."
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even imagine the pain and the heartache and the conversations between you and your kids and between you and your husband. And as a father, where did I go wrong? What did I fail? What could I have done better? All of the what ifs.
Yes.
And you made this decision to go, "Hey, I've got to turn this pain into purpose for my son and for my other children that I have."
Yes.
So you get this loan, you
Yeah.
get your real estate license.
I convince a seller to take a chance on us because, again, extenuating circumstance loan. And the house needed a lot of work, but it was our house. And there was a pivotal moment with that. Watching the twins run around in the sunshine that was coming in from the bay windows, my older boy picking out a room, but it was when I gave those keys to my husband. And I felt joy again. That was the first time I felt a bubble of joy and gave him his feet again. And I realized this real estate world needs me. I have the ability to help families who have been through hardship start a new chapter. And I began giving part of my commission back right from the beginning, 25% of my commission back towards the closing costs for first responders, for special needs family, pro bono sometimes. And I was borrowing clothes at that time. I didn't even have business clothes to wear. And I just was determined. I was good at that. And I liked the addiction of joy, that giving to someone else, the joy of giving. And I kept going. Rookie of the year, doubling my income. I began to see that if I really wanted to share my story, that God had given me a venue to achieve, to gain a presence. And that's what I did. I started getting a team and getting on HGTV and starting my own podcast, getting ready to launch my book.
So talk to me about like the moment in the whole real estate thing. And you said when you handed your husband the keys, was that the moment you realized we're out of the hole? We've turned the corner?
No, it wasn't that we were out of the hole and turned the corner. What it was, again, giving his feet back to him, something that couldn't be taken away. Because again, the provider, the protector, he couldn't provide and protect his son, his wife, his family. And, we're bouncing in these, because back then, you'd get in a rental and it'd foreclose on, or they'd want to sell it because the market was turning around. And he was tired of not having control of something. And that foundation, giving his feet again, it just gave us a foundation, but there was still so much to build, right? And sometimes I would start building and I'd make the wrong choice and the whole walls would come back down. That's something you have to remember as an entrepreneur. That's something you have to remember as you're in real estate or really trying to drive your own business, is that you're going to build it up, it's going to come down. You're going to build it up, it's going to come down. You've got to figure out what works. It wasn't until I really started clearing like 10 million a year in sales that I felt like, wow, we're going on vacations again.
Yeah.
The sorrow doesn't go. You have to find more to transmute the sorrow, but you're beginning to fill your life with joy instead of pain. And my book is what drove me, because I had a vision. I had a vision of not only sharing my book, but stories of overcoming. What is the oldest way in the history of humankind that we uplift each other? It's through stories, right? Our stories define us. Some of humanity's greatest philanthropic movements have been born from its deepest sorrows. So I knew if I could get to a place where I could launch my book and have a stage performance of stories of overcoming, that I could begin to make a difference. And on my birthday, March 11th of 2020, I did. I launched my book and it held #1. And here it is.
Love it.
For 2 weeks, but COVID hit. Whole thing came crashing down. Boom, bang.
Yeah, you said that happens from time to time, right? As an entrepreneur, you build it up and boom, here it comes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I call those the sledgehammers of life.
Mm.
You know, we think we're cruising along, we're doing good, and then a sledgehammer hits. Why does the sledgehammer hit? Because we have to dive deeper into our purpose to bring out the joy. And if we're not on the right path, we're going to get hit back onto the right path. You know this as a pastor and having been in this. So even then, I was knocked back. I had to, refigure out my brokerage, refigure out my business. And I dove into Delphi Metaphysical University. I really needed more answers. I wanted to understand the soul. I wanted to understand, why does someone choose to leave this world? Why do they choose to take their life? How can I help someone who's in that moment change their mind? Mm-hmm. And that was my focus for the last couple of years. And since then have developed what I call the metaphysical real estate agent. I work specifically with energies. My goal is to match the house energy with the family energy because, again, foundation. Mm-hmm. And yes, I've moved into the public speaking, the healing modalities, the coaching, because that's what's important. Suicide is free will staring back at you and asking you to choose. And if in that moment you are in your darkest hour, you will have a choice to make, but it has a ripple effect. If I can get someone to remember that for 5 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, it's the pause. It's the pause that helps them choose life instead of leaving. Yeah.
I love that. What do you think your son would say right now with where you are?
That's a good question. He's proud of me. No doubt he's proud of me. I think that his intention for that day truly was just, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain.
Escape.
And, I hate to get graphic about it, but when you're holding a gun to your head and you're in pain, you're in pain, you're in pain. And this is why men have such a higher statistic at taking their life. It's impulsive. It's pull the trigger. It's a sneeze. When Robin Williams took his life, there was a writer that I read shortly thereafter who likened it to a sneeze. What do I mean by that? We feel the sneeze coming and we look to the sun, we hold our nose and we try to get it not to erupt, but eventually you can sneeze, right? And you can't hold it back. That's what happens in that moment. Men take a more violent means, guns, ropes, that sort of thing, car crashes. Women use pills and alcohol. The statistic that's shocking that most people don't know, 130 people succeed in suicide in this country every single day. Over 4,000 attempt suicide on a daily basis. Wow. And those are only the ones reported. I never reported any of my attempts.
Yeah.
Right? This is the true pandemic. So what would my son say to me? I'm gonna say a swear word here. Fuck yeah, mom. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
I love
That's
that.
what you would say.
I love that. Talk about, for you and your family, for you first, and then maybe even your older, because he had an older brother who is how old now? How old is your oldest now?
He's 27 now. So
which is my daughter's age. My oldest is 27. Talk about you. Talk about the fulfillment that you feel now, having walked through everything that you've walked through and having helped families that have been where you're at.
That again is my joy. And when I write, because I'm on my second book too, it is all about true purpose and service, right? The first book, I actually blogged the first year and how crazy some of those thoughts were and just how much sorrow and pain I was in. I took some of those blogs from the first year and reflected back on them in the book as the healed woman, how I got through those moments, what I did through those moments. And there's no easy way to say this other than you are going to fight for your life. And if you don't feel enough strength to fight for your life, you have to fight for the legacy of your child. That's how it started, was proving to my child that what he didn't overcome me. I was able to overcome it. Because when I see him again, I wasn't going to be that sad little mother. I was going to be the rock star. So achievement became a focus for sure. But that's a dangerous road to go down, because what if you don't achieve? What if you fail? And because this we do.
Well,
This,
you know this. It really is. I was on a call with somebody earlier today, and I'm like, she was talking about my conference in Dallas, and I just told her, I said, listen, life's about risk. Like
Mhm.
you've got to take a step. If you don't feel uncomfortable in, can I really pull this off? Can I really do I have what it takes to do this
Yeah.
thing God's put in my heart? Do I have, if you don't risk there's never the reward on the other side of not risking and living an average life is something that doesn't not only not bring you fulfillment, but it brings you the opposite. It
Yes.
brings you despair. You're like, this is it. Like
Stagnancy.
this is all.
Stagnancy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Talk to me a little bit about your children now. You've got a
Mhm.
27-year-old. The twins are how old now?
So the twins just turned 16.
Oh, wow.
And so my oldest boy, he actually has joined me in the real estate business. He never did drugs. He never started drinking. One of the things that we made sure that we did is keep him around his core group of friends. It wasn't easy. Let's just face it. He was mad at us. We lash out at each other. We promise, oh, I'll never yell at my kids and this and that.
Yeah.
But we're in so much turmoil still, and we're in so much pain still. So he did move out when he was 18, but it was just because he also needed to step out. Our children are on their own journey. We tend to forget that as parents. We push these visions, and I want you to achieve this because I wasn't able to. It's their own journey.
Right.
So, I had to allow him to live his life, and he came back and ended up doing real estate with me. He is certified in skydiving. He actually writes lyrics as part of his pain. He's doing wonderfully as his first girlfriend. The twins, the youngest twin actually has autism. And he was really affected. Both of them were really affected, of course. They were only just about 4 at the time, but they remember. Your body remembers that. And one of the twins did struggle with suicidal thoughts at around age 11, which was terrifying for us. And we always made sure that the schools knew, but we stayed together as a family unit. That's what really stuck with them through the screaming and mom driving, because sometimes I'd have to just leave. I just would leave. Dad's home, kids are good, I need to go. And I would drive for like 2 days. I just needed that. So what's most important is, in my opinion, is showing how important others are in your life. No matter what you're going through, stop. Because again, those last words to my son and my son to me, you don't want it to be, I hate you.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah,
sure
I
you
can't
take the
imagine.
time to say something kind, even at the end of an argument. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Or, you have to remember the little things in life. The only thing we take with us is who we become. Do you want to stay that sad, pathetic little person in the corner because, oh my God, I can't get up and face the world? What? Yes, you can.
What was the first moment for you, Kimberly, in the process afterwards where you were able to make a difference in someone else's life that had went through something similar, where you said, yes, there really is purpose behind this pain?
It began because I started blogging about what I was going through. And I noticed, and again, this was 12 years ago, so we only really had Facebook at the time, but I did notice that there would be responses, people like, you know what, I needed to hear that today, or I didn't realize that about suicide or the stigma. And there, again, there's that little bubble, call them little bubbles of joy. And I would start like collecting those for the days that I couldn't find bubbles of joy. And that, okay, Kimberly, what is this doing to you? How is this helping you year after year after year? When I would talk about, okay, Thanksgiving's coming up. This is my first Thanksgiving. This is my second one. This is how I made it through. There's such a great satisfaction when someone comes to you and says, I almost took my life last night and I came across your video. And I realized that I could give it 5 more minutes and 1 more hour and 1 more day. And that part's going to make me emotional because literally thousands of people over the last decade have stayed their hand because of either my story or something they've heard or something they've read. It's a pride that's a humble pride, but it's one that I know speaks to Jesus, speaks to God, speaks to Mother Mary, whatever you believe in.
No, I love that. I love that. And now Talk to us about what you're doing now. I mean, it's been 12 years ago. It's funny you said there's only Facebook. I was like, there was MySpace, and that was even before that. But anyway,
Oh God.
Facebook. I know, right? So tell me now, like how are you doing now? Talk to me about what God's doing in your life right now. Obviously, the real estate stuff, you're just crushing it in. So working on your second book. Tell us a little bit about your second book and just becoming a speaker and doing all that and really sharing your story. Talk a little bit about that.
So I was fortunate enough to, while in the real estate world, be noticed for my story, being able to share my story in panels and smaller areas. And that part I like too. Let's not. I do like attention. Come on, I'm a woman.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
There is a satisfaction in telling a tale well done and having it be effective. If I could just set aside everything, what was the one thing I would do if I had all the money in the world? It would be speaking, sharing my story, and healing the world. And God, through a series of very tumultuous events over 10 years, has put me in that place. I'm part of Stormy Wellington's Girl Hold My Hand group. I'm very close to Stormy Wellington's group. She's a huge public speaker and visionary. And my second book launch, which will hopefully be launching in August, is all about the soul, is all about how do we heal the soul? How do we live a life through our imagination? Our imagination is our divinity, and we shouldn't compromise who we truly are for anyone. Through my 10 years in real estate, I was not going to be that suit wearing, Maserati driving chick. I was going to be the inspirational one. Was never going to change who I was to be successful. And it's my uniqueness that has gotten me there.
Yeah.
And that is living true to myself. I can only save myself. I can't save the world. I can only save myself. But the ripple effect of saving myself and sharing that is what has the presence of saving others.
I love that. And so now your second book coming out. I love Stormy, by the way. She's phenomenal. Yes. And really just getting an opportunity to really live in your purpose and take that pain and turn that. Tell me about the family now. How are you guys doing?
Oh.
What does that look like?
So the twins are 16.
Yeah.
My husband and I have stayed very, very close through all of this. We're determined to, get the boys raised. It hasn't been perfect. We've done a lot of counseling. I can't say that, it's a forever thing, but it's a commitment in making sure the whole family is good and thrives. And we're thriving too. And, I'm a golden ticket winner for 10X Stages, Great American Speak Off. Yeah. As that part of my career started taking off, and I do plan on a movie for the second book, we are kind of separating ourselves. I have a dream. And this is what a lot of women don't realize. I'm 51. And there's no reason why I can't still pursue my dreams. It's not time to retire. So at this point, he's a firefighter, he's a captain. The twins are 16, they're almost able to drive. I am going to be stepping out and fully stepping into traveling the country, doing my speaking engagements, everything that I dreamt of, because my dream is my purpose. And that's kind of what my second book is about too. Your imagination is divinity. It's what God is trying to tell you is possible. Yes, we're ordinary people, but we can achieve extraordinary things. I'm just a girl with a GED. And some of the things I've been able to achieve are incredible, and I have only begun. So I want to encourage people, don't feel like you're stuck or you're, because of your obligations and this and that. Your obligation is to yourself. The better you do, the better everyone else around you will do.
That's right.
Period.
Yeah, I call that the oxygen mask syndrome.
Yes.
You're on the flight. She goes, listen, in case of loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop down. If you're with a child, put it on. Because what people don't understand is when that cabin pressure goes away, it doesn't just stop you from able to breathe. It sucks the air right out of your lungs. And if you don't take care of you, everybody else that's dependent on you is doomed.
Yes.
And you have to take care of you. Kimberly, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
KimT360.com. That will send you to all of my platforms. I have over 130 of my own podcasts and videos and creations on YouTube. I do my own editing, production. Instagram is Tenacious Angels. That is the name of my second book, Tenacious Angels. T-shirts available. You watch it. I'm saying it right here, right now. It will be a movie.
Come on, girl. I've got some people that I need to connect you with that do a lot of movies.
And then of course Instagram, but the best place is kimt360.com.
I love that. I love that, man. Thank you for sharing. I could tell, boy, it was so different at the very beginning, because you told me off air what happened, and I was like, I had to kind of gather just a minute. Go, okay, God, where do we need to take this?
Yeah.
How do we navigate this conversation for people to be able to get? I mean, for people to be able to get the maximum amount of impact out of your story. And man, I'm praying for you as a mom, as a wife, for just wisdom on what the future looks like. And man, I just wanted to honor you for what you've done and what you've went through and how you've overcome. And you know, when we overcome, it's never really just about us overcoming. It is, but it really is about once we've broke through that initial and we realize, okay, not only can I make it, but man, I can help other people. Yes. That fulfillment on the other side, and just listening to you talk about that fulfillment is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. So guys, listen, go check out Kimberly, Tenacious Angels on Instagram. Tenacious Angels, that's it right there, right? Tenacious Angels on Instagram, kimt360.com. Go check her out. Book's coming out in August. If it's not, I'm going to get in your ass. I'm going to send you a DM and be like, hey, where's the damn book at? Come on. Hey, there's a reason we write our goals down twice a day. Goals, gratitude, affirmations, top 3 every morning. I tell people all the time, listen, I'm not the best looking, most intelligent, sharpest dude in the world, but nobody will be more consistent than me, and nobody will outwork me, and nobody gets up at 4 a.m. as many times during the week as I do. I promise you.
I do.
You're not gonna
week, baby.
Come on, girl. You're not gonna outwork me.
That's true.
But anyway, I'm super excited about our conversation. Can't wait to get this on the air. But guys, Kimberly Toko, guys, kimt360.com. Go check her out. Again, thank you for joining us for another episode of As a Leader Grows. What an amazing, I mean, this is a life-changing conversation. No matter what you go through, number one, there is always something on the other side, not only for you, but for the people that this incident or tragedy has positioned you to be able to help. So if you love this podcast, do me a favor. 2 things. Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, snap a screenshot, share it on Instagram, tag Kimberly and myself in it. We'll share it to our audience as well. And listen, we are 3 weeks away, probably a couple of weeks once this publishes. Create Dallas, myself, Brendan Bouchard, Randy Garn, Gary Brecka, Erwin McManus, Amberly Lago, Marie Cosgrove, trying to think. I almost said Kimberly. Catherine Gordon. Kimberly's like, yes, speak it out there. growstackdrive.com/create Dallas. Do not miss this opportunity. It's going to be an amazing 2.5 days in Dallas. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.